Folks, so I got to do a beehive check that I'm not looking forward to. This morning I saw one of the beehive lids on the ground, and we've had some serious high winds because of that snowstorm that blew through and just the whole cold front and everything. It was just really, really strong winds. And normally, like you've seen, the beehives have a rock on top of the lids. And that's really because the plastic lids are so lightweight that they actually can kind of blow off with a gust of wind, like say 15, 20 mile an hour winds. But I believe the winds we've had in the last 24 hours have been stronger than that, because the lid that blew off was the hive that had the heavy duty wooden lid that was, 4 times the weight as the other lids. But I know with wind, it's not necessarily always about the weight. It can just be the sheer force of it hitting and just flipping it up, flipping it over. So I was disappointed to see that lying on the ground this morning, and now it's finally warm enough outside I can actually go look inside the hive to see if the bees survived that. So basically they could have been exposed with no lid overnight, 30 degree, 40 degree temperatures, could have let all the heat out of their hive, so they could have froze. So I'm gonna go see. So I don't know. I actually haven't looked yet, so I don't know the answer. This is not one of those pre-made videos where I know what's going to happen. Okay. Well, there's definitely a lot of activity out here, but I can tell you there's not a ton of activity at that last beehive, and that's the hive that had the lid flipped off. And the reason I'm concerned is because when I put the lid back on this morning, I didn't really see or hear any bees when I knocked on the hive. So I'm wondering if the bees that are over there are just robbing that hive of their honey, and they're not the actual bees. There's so many bees on this middle hive, but could be because the entrance is very small, but also that feeder was pretty full earlier, so could be some robbing going on as well. Okay, well, I see some bees. I'm just not sure if it's these bees. So I'm going to try to look for a brood nest and maybe a queen, just to see if there's actually a colony in here, or if these bees are just here because there's honey in here and there's nobody to guard the hive. This actually looks like the colony. Tightly packed in here. I might pull out a few frames. It looks like it's all honey, but they were so quiet this morning when I came in here. When I put the hive back, when I put the lid back on, I thought the hive was empty, actually. It's still pretty windy today, so this is not a great day to be checking on bees, but I had to look. Had to find out if the colony was still alive. It looks like they are, but I'm not seeing any signs of brood nest. Which is okay, it could be the queen has stopped laying. Well, I'm not seeing any brood, and that's not a bad thing, because sometimes this time of year, after you get a really cold snap like we had, the queen stops laying, and it's just honey in the hive. Well, the bees are starting to lose patience. They are buzzing at my face, so probably time to put the lid back on and stop disturbing them. They're really good at figuring out how to get you as well. If you have any kind of opening in your bee suit, they've got infrared sensing. Well, folks, I guess as you can see, hive number 3 is still viable. And I'm actually kind of surprised. This morning, honestly, I thought the hive was gone. So I was actually pretty nervous about this video and opening up a hive to see them frozen in place. But it wasn't super cold last night. It probably did maybe dip down to 40 or the 30s. But luckily, you know, it's actually quite warm right now, and I'm really warm in this bee suit. So with the sun, you can clearly see that all 3 hives have a lot of activity. And it's just, you know, definitely grateful that that they didn't die. And look, I have a rock on top now. So I think it's probably just good for good measure, because we do have those winds all winter long, and having something to secure the lid. Even if the lid is heavy, a gust of wind can blow it up and flip it off pretty easily. So what I'm going to do next, actually, this is a good day to clean up all my mess in the hive area. There's a lot of empty frames out here. It's just a lot going on. I'm going to fill up my feeder and my feeders. I'm going to fill up my feeders and kind of get this area really prepared for winter once it sort of is here to stay. Because once the temperatures dip below 50, there's no reason to go into the hives anymore. So I would say the final thing to do for the bees this year to get them ready for winter is to insulate the hives. I know some of you have asked about that, and I found a new product that I'm going to get this year to insulate the hives, and now I know I can insulate 3 hives. Happy about that. So I'm going to go ahead and order that and put that on as the temperatures start to fall into, you know, the 30s and below overnight, and making sure that the temperature during the day isn't over 50. Because when the sun's on the hives, it's pretty warm. I don't want to over-insulate them just yet. So once we start seeing temperatures 40s and 30s during the day, that would be a good time to add those insulators. We'll do what we can, but yay, just so happy that the bees all 3 hives are doing great right now. So really happy about that. They look like they're in good shape for winter. And very happy that it wasn't minus 20 degrees with that lid came off, because they would have been dead for sure. So I think what saved them is that there was the inner feeder that was still in place. So it created a barrier, so not all the heat escaped out of the hive and let in all the cold air. So I think that was enough to kind of keep them safe. So, all right, guys, close call. But thanks for tuning in to see what happened. I'm in a cloud of bees right now.